You wake up early, before the sun rises, before the world even begins to move. You're already awake. You tell yourself today will be different. You push yourself out of bed, even when your body is tired, even when your mind is begging for rest, because you believe something. You believe that hard work will change your life. So you go through your day, you stay busy, you keep moving, you keep doing something, anything, just to feel like you're getting closer. And by the time the night comes, you're exhausted, your body is heavy, your mind is drained. But deep inside, there's a question, a quiet, uncomfortable question. If I'm working this hard, then why is nothing changing? Why are you still in the same place? Why does success still feel so far away? Why does it feel like you're running but not moving? And that's the moment most people ignore, because facing that question is painful. So instead, they tell themselves, I just need to work harder. But what if that's the lie? What if working harder is exactly what's keeping you stuck? From the moment we are born, we are programmed, not by force, but by repetition. Parents say it, teachers repeat it, society reinforces it. Work hard and you'll succeed. It sounds simple. It sounds fair. It sounds logical. And that's why nobody questions it, because it gives hope. It gives direction. It gives meaning to struggle. But here's the problem. Nobody explains what hard work actually means. Nobody teaches you what to work on, how to think, where to focus, when to stop. They just say, keep going, so you grow up believing that effort alone is enough, that if you just push harder than everyone else, life will reward you. But then reality hits, and suddenly you see people who are not working as hard as you, moving faster than you, growing faster than you, winning while you're still struggling. And that's confusing, because it breaks everything you were taught. It makes you question everything. But instead of stopping and rethinking, most people do something else. They double down. They push even harder. They sacrifice more. They sleep less. They stress more, because they think, if it's not working, I just need more effort. And that's where the trap begins. Let's slow this down. Look at your life for a second. Be honest. How many times have you had days where you were busy from morning to night, but achieved nothing meaningful? You replied to messages. You scrolled through content, you worked on small tasks, you stayed active the whole day. But when you looked back, there was no real progress, no real step forward, just movement. That's the problem. Most people are addicted, not to success, but to activity, because activity feels safe. When you're doing something, you don't feel guilty. When you're busy, you don't feel lazy. When you're exhausted, you feel productive. But here's the truth. Feeling productive and being productive are two completely different things, and most people never realize this. They spend years confusing motion with progress. They keep running, but on the wrong road, and no matter how fast they go, they'll never reach the destination. Imagine two people, both wake up at the same time, both work hard, both stay disciplined, but their lives turn out completely different. Person A works all day, does whatever comes in front of them. No plan, no direction, just constant effort. Person B works fewer hours, but before starting, they think, they analyze, they choose what matters. They focus only on high-impact actions. Now fast forward 1 year, person A is tired, frustrated, confused, still stuck. Person B, they've grown. They've moved forward. They've built something. Same effort, different outcome. Why? Because hard work without direction is like running in the dark. You're moving, but you don't know where you're going. And here's the hardest part. When you work hard and don't see results, it doesn't just hurt your progress, it destroys your confidence. You start questioning yourself. Maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm not smart enough, maybe success is not for me. But the truth is, it's not you, it's your approach. You were never taught how to think. You were never taught how to choose the right path. You were only taught to keep walking. And now you're lost Not because you're weak, but because you were never given the right map. Now you have to face something uncomfortable, something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Hard work does not guarantee success. That sentence alone is enough to shake everything you believe, because all your life you were told the opposite. Work harder, push more, never stop grinding. But nobody told you the full truth. Look at the world carefully. There are millions of people right now working harder than you. They wake up earlier, they work longer hours, they exhaust their bodies every single day, and yet they are still stuck, still struggling, still surviving, not thriving. Why? Because the world does not reward effort. It rewards value. Let's break this illusion completely. Why does one person work 12 hours a day and barely survives, while another works 3-4 hours and builds wealth? It's not about effort. It's about what that effort produces. If your work does not create value, your effort becomes invisible. You can suffer all day and still get nothing in return. Think about a laborer carrying heavy bricks all day. Extreme effort, physical exhaustion, relentless grind, but limited income. Now think about someone who builds a skill, solves problems, creates systems, thinks strategically. Less time, more value, and the world rewards them differently. It may feel unfair, but this is how the game works. There is a silent difference that separates people who grow from people who stay stuck. Thinkers versus grinders. A grinder reacts. They do whatever comes in front of them. They stay busy. They keep moving, but they don't question anything. A thinker pauses. They analyze. They decide what actually matters. They eliminate what doesn't. A grinder gives 10 hours of effort. A thinker gives 2 hours of focused execution. But those 2 hours are aligned with direction. And over time, direction beats effort every single time. Now let's go inside your mind. Your brain is wired in a way that can sabotage you. It convinces you that if something feels hard, it must be important. This is called effort bias. The more you struggle, the more your brain tells you you're doing something meaningful. But that's not always true. Sometimes you are just repeating low-value actions over and over again, and because it feels difficult, you believe it matters. But difficulty does not equal importance, and ease does not mean useless. Some of the most powerful decisions in life feel simple, but they change everything. This creates a cycle, a silent loop that traps people for years. You work hard, you feel productive, you see no results. You get frustrated, you work even harder, and the cycle repeats again and again and again, until one day you realize you've been moving but not progressing. You've been active but not effective. That realization hurts, but it's necessary. Here's something deeper. You can become addicted to struggle because struggle gives you a sense of purpose. It makes your pain feel meaningful. When you're tired, you feel like you've earned something. When you're busy, you feel like you're doing something right. But in reality, you might just be hiding from the truth, because the truth requires change, and change is uncomfortable. So instead of facing it, you keep working harder on the wrong path. Thinking is difficult, not physically, but emotionally, because when you stop and think, you are forced to confront reality. You start seeing your mistakes. You realize that maybe you've been wasting time, and that feeling is heavy. So most people avoid it. They stay busy because being busy protects them from truth. It gives them an excuse to not question their direction. Over time, hard work becomes your identity. You start saying, I'm a hard worker, and that's something you're proud of. But here's the danger when your identity is tied to effort. You resist changing your approach because admitting you're wrong feels like losing who you are. So instead of evolving, you defend your habits, even if they're not working. And that's how people stay stuck for years. But eventually, there comes a moment, a quiet moment, where you sit alone. And for the first time, you stop pretending. You stop distracting yourself. And you ask one honest question. Is this actually working? That moment is powerful because it breaks the illusion. And once the illusion breaks, you can't go back. And when you finally accept that the problem is not your effort, but your direction, everything begins to shift. You stop chasing exhaustion. You stop proving how hard you can work, and you start searching for something deeper, what actually works. And this is where everything starts to change. Not outside, but inside your mind. Because once you understand that effort alone is not enough, you begin to think differently. You stop asking, how many hours did I work today? And you start asking, what actually moved me forward? That single shift separates people who stay stuck from those who break through. Because now you're no longer chasing effort, you're chasing impact. Everything starts with clarity. Without clarity, even your best effort is wasted. Imagine trying to hit a target you can't even see. That's how most people live. They wake up, they do random tasks, they stay busy, but they have no clear direction, no defined goal, no real target. And without a target, you can't measure progress. You can't improve strategy. You can't win. Clarity gives your effort a purpose. It turns movement into progress. Once you have clarity, the next step is focus. Because in today's world, distraction is everywhere. Social media, notifications, endless content, constant noise, and every distraction steals a piece of your future. Winners understand this. That's why they protect their focus. They don't try to do everything. They do less, but they do what matters. They say no more than they say yes, because they know every yes to something unimportant is a no to their success. Now comes execution, but not random execution. High-impact execution. This means you identify the few actions that actually create results. Not busy work, not low-value tasks, but the actions that move the needle. And then you go all in on those. This is where hard work becomes powerful, because now it's not blind. It's directed, it's intentional, it's strategic, and that's when effort starts producing real results. Motivation is temporary. It comes and it goes. Some days you feel unstoppable. Other days you feel nothing. If you depend on motivation, you will fail. Winners don't rely on motivation. They build systems, daily routines, clear structures, defined habits, so even when they don't feel like working, they still move forward because the system carries them, and system create consistency. Discipline is misunderstood. People think discipline means pushing yourself to the limit, suffering every day, forcing yourself non-stop. But real discipline is different. It's control. Control over your time, control over your attention, control over your decisions. It's choosing what matters, even when it's hard, and ignoring what doesn't, even when it's easy. That's real power. If you keep doing the same thing, you will keep getting the same results. That's why learning is essential. Not just working, but improving. Studying people ahead of you, understanding better strategies, learning from mistakes, and most importantly, adapting. Because the world changes, opportunities change, and if you don't adjust, you fall behind. Winners don't just work hard, they evolve. Here's something most people ignore. Your energy matters more than your time. You can have 10 hours, but if your energy is low, those hours are useless. That's why rest is not weakness. Recovery is not laziness. It's part of the process, because when your energy is high, your focus is sharp, your thinking is clearer, your execution is stronger. So don't just manage your time, manage your energy. You've spent enough time working hard without results. You've pushed yourself, you've sacrificed, you've stayed consistent, and yet something was missing. Now you know what it was. Not effort, but direction. Not grinding, but thinking. Not doing more, but doing what matters. And now you have a choice. Stay the same or change everything. Listen carefully. Hard work is not your enemy, but blind hard work will destroy your future. You don't need to prove how much you can suffer. You need to prove how well you can think. Because in the end, the world doesn't reward effort. It rewards results. So stop chasing exhaustion. Stop glorifying struggle. Stop wasting your energy on things that don't matter. And start building something real. Because when you combine clarity, focus, strategy, and relentless execution, you become unstoppable. And when that happens, success is no longer a possibility. It becomes inevitable.